doing?
Yeah.
All righty, gentle persons. Welcome back to Divas, Diamonds, and Dollars podcast. We empower career women, business women, and late bloomers with the tools and strategies for living a bolder, fuller life. Each week, we talk about leadership, personal finance, and personal development to support you as you grow into your bolder, fuller self. Follow us to get ahead and succeed at a higher level. We are your hosts, Larisa and
Cecilia.
now I know I'm preaching to the choir, but I would just say there is actually a lot of economic uncertainty right now, and the job market is, let's go with fluid. Um, and I don't know why I said the word actually. I always think about why do people put that qualifier in there? But that said,
Mhm.
sometimes we reach a point when, frankly, enough is enough. Self respect demands that we head for greener pastures. So my question is, how do you make sure you do so without regret? Let's discuss. Now, the pundits are using this term, so I'll just repeat it for you that the economy is receiving mixed signals from policymakers, and businesses are either holding the line or cutting back. We've seen the headlines. Frankly, the numbers are all over the place though. That's the part that makes it, uncertain. Yet those of us living through it on the daily know what's up. We're even more compelled to ensure that we are handling our business no matter what miasma, if you will, is swirling around us. We are keeping our eyes on the prize, achieving our life goals to move from success to significance.
All right, dear ladies, and if there's any men out there, so here we are. We're following another bounce back equation conversation. Really? Wow, is that me? Yeah. So, walking you through the necessary steps as you learn to deal. DEAL. First of all, you got to decide. Then you have to evaluate. This is what we talked about last session. Activate and certainly learn. You cannot decide, evaluate, and activate, and there's no learning involved, right? And so essentially, you were deciding whether to stick it out or shake it off and move on. And before I say more, there's something to be said. Okay, listen, I said shake it off. Well, stick it out first. Stick it out, shake it off, and move on. What does that tell you? It tells you you have options, right? And so the latter is what we're talking about today. How do you bounce forward? Nobody wants to bounce backward, bounce back. It's kind of interesting about our English language. Just think about it. Bounce back means you are like the bouncing ball, bouncing up, bouncing forward. It's kind of a trick to bounce backward, right? So bounce back means bouncing up, bouncing forward. So, hey, you know. Anyway, that's what we're talking about, bouncing forward. And so ensure that your well thought out plan drives your trajectory upward. And upward, we want it to be smooth sailing. So
So
the question,
actually,
yeah.
before you go on, I just want to say, this morning, it occurs to me, what we're talking about in this episode, as Cecilia already said, is bouncing forward. That means you must have put some thought in it because I already had a manager, and I think we've already talked about it on a previous episode. Oh, he bounced all right, but he bouncing
Mhm.
like, oh, I'm out of here. He had no plan. He just got, I'm going to say miffed, but he was in a bad mood and he made what is it called? A split-second decision that likely impacted his pocketbook because he was like, boom, no notice, I'm out of here. And that's not what we're talking about, ladies. Number one, that makes you look bad. It's unprofessional. And if you don't have a proper cushion or, frankly, somewhere to go, you're only hurting yourself. So there's a difference in how you bounce. We've had a, we, I don't say we're having an English lesson today, but bounce, and my goodness, who knew that word had so much impact? But anyway, I just wanted to clarify that, there's a difference. There are different ways to bounce.
That's correct. as a matter of fact. And so as you amplify this, of course, I started thinking about a conversation that I was involved in yesterday, someone sharing about this young lady. And I'm thinking, this episode might be for her, although I think she has a lot of things going on. However, so back to our little thesis, if you will. Should you make a full 360? Hmm. Now, sometimes taking a hard left or full reversal is scary, but honestly, it can be necessary. When you're in the corporate world, it is really all about the bottom line, no matter how cool or welcoming the culture seems. And you know what comes to mind immediately is let's say Google or maybe Microsoft. And I can recall some things that my last organization did, how we changed the setup of the office. But at the end of the day, and I'm sure it was very cool to a lot of people, younger people particularly, but there was a difference with our organization and Google. First of all, they were private for profit. We were not government. It's public, nonprofit, right? However, that's sort of a sidebar, but I always feel like you need to, just kind of share from my own experience the things you're thinking about, right? But so when push comes to shove, you may still end up being downsized or otherwise negatively impacted, and so begins your plan B. And so I just want to repeat, like Larisa started out, things seem to be fluid all over. And then I use some words about one, two, three choices that you have, right? And so here we are. Let's go back to pivot. Goodness, I bet you when we talked about pivot 5+ years ago, and even when you thought about pivot, not only did you think about it, you were in a pivot, right? Well, goodness, here we are. I heard some things last week about how many things women are thinking about. A little bit, some of the stuff we talked about with the trends a couple weeks or so ago. And so women have a lot to think about, all right, with, how they do business and, work-life balance sort of thing. So we did an entire episode, There's Power in the Pivot, in season 1. Oh my gosh. Episode 29. The ultimate pivot, planning your next act. And so that was episode 165, also in our fourth season. So make sure you check those out for additional insights as we really, went into a lot of detail as to what a full pivot looks like in action. So for today, we just want to remind you of a few key factors, if you will. And so as we move on in this fast-paced world, reinvention is a gift. I mean, think about that. Reinvention. Of course, it's a gift. If you get another chance, you get another bite at the apple, if you get another opportunity, that is a gift. And so, not everyone gets to make a fresh start, but you do. Your lived experiences have provided a priceless education you can use as a stepping stone to take you even further. So in this case, you might be a newbie, but you're a newbie or a noob with baller chops, right? So that means you got something going for you. But nobody ever says that, really. Nobody ever said, oh, you're a newbie, you got baller chops. Nobody ever said that. And so think about it. In reality, though, it is the truth. So let's reframe the situation. Your past does not define you. That is the biggest thing I feel like people get penalized for, and it's unfortunate. What happened was a moment in time. We transcend many phases, seasons in our lives. We most of us do. I like to say hopefully we all do, but we know that's not true. But dissect the pieces and use the parts that support your new direction. So let's shake things up, okay? Be your own hype person. Toot your own horn to everyone. Yeah, that's really what you got to do. Think about the influencers who are out there who are doing it at a full scale, although, virtually. But we use a lot of virtuality in that. So I'm just going to use them as an example. Toot your own horn. And there are ways to get to mass audiences, right? Tell your friends, your colleagues first and foremost, though, because they can vouch for who you are, what you've done, and then others in your sphere of influence so that they can talk you up as well. It is really about you selling yourself, but others need to sell you too. And so you want to share opportunities that people who are people of influence want to share opportunities that come their way. So you've got to pursue, standing still, really just not going to get anything. I mean, this is sort of corny, but I think the closest thing I know about is sugar drawing bees or whatever. That's the only being still and drawing something. Otherwise, that does not work. So approach this pivot as the opportunity it is and pursue your new role with all the passion you have within. This is your time to what? Proactively network. COVID made us shut-ins, didn't it? So hard to leave the house sometimes. And unfortunately, some people still operate that way, hence still the desire to work from home. But it's imperative that you get out and stand shoulder to shoulder with the power brokers in your new field. I see it all the time. I know people have passed up money because they cannot leave their home, that they just don't want to get out there. I know that for a fact. So if you're looking for another 9 to 5, you'll recall more jobs are found through active networking, not through job boards. I mean, hey, if you're not out there, how do you even see the job boards, right? Newspapers are sort of limited. I mean, newspapers, classified ads, uh, what is it? The Indeed, I'll just use them as a hiring entity. There are hiring entities out there, or LinkedIn. But if you're really exercising your entrepreneurial chops, then you need to test your ideas and you need to roll them out to new marketing campaigns. It's got to be you in the mix, right? So promote your ideas. This is not the time you're going to hold back. You must be vocal about your initiatives and results brought about by your expertise. I mean, what does that do? It is what makes you interesting. It is what makes you different. It is what distinguishes you from everybody else.
So, it's interesting that I don't always say the title. So I mean, we do try and explain what we're talking about. But this one, and not to take on a sports analogy, because I did not watch any sports, but I think there's some sports going on this weekend. But,
Mhm.
if life throws you a curveball, let that be a great opportunity because then you can hit it out of the park. And that's why we talked about the pivot. We talked about pursue, as in chasing your dream. And we hope that you prevail through it all. Now, we talked about the right way to do it and the wrong way. This would be the right way. The wrong way was Manny. Um, because if you are breathing, and I think you are because you're listening, sometimes things don't go our way. But this time you get the win. When you start fresh, you literally get a do over. And if you're in this position, do go back and listen to, frankly, episode 241, Becoming More Influential. And Cecilia mentioned it a little bit, but it's not a time to hide your light under a bushel, as the Bible said, and listen to 240 Episode 240, becoming a doer. We had some really good tips in there because that whole month was about stepping up and stepping out. And if you're on a pivot, or girl, you need to step up and step out. How are people going to find you? How are people going to see your value that you bring to the table? So those are two really good reminders. So it was just weird that this episode included 4 reminders, but they all came together. And so we didn't want you to miss out. Anyway, listen to those 2 episodes because you need that exact energy. Think it through and make your move. And so I guess further saying the person who left, he was split second decision. But when we're talking about making a pivot, it's not instantaneous. It is a thought out process. It's that whatever happened or setback, that's holding you back or that has brought you to this decision. Just because you pivot doesn't mean you turn on a dime. You can make a quiet plan before you exit stage left. So that is what this has really been about. So we want you to prevail, right? We talked about pivot, pursue it, and now we want you to prevail. So at the end of the day, coming out on top is really the whole point. That there's nothing else to talk about. What steps can you take to almost guarantee you'll be successful in this new role? I mean, because life offers no guarantees, but you can definitely improve the odds. And how might we go about that? Well, let's discuss. Role models rock. And again, a pivot is a change. It's a stark or big change. But no one ever said you had to start from scratch or learn everything on your own. Who has done what you want to do? Learn from them, be your own person, but you can model previous successful behavior or actions with your flavoring, with your own flavoring. But there's someone out there probably who's done what you want to do. Check her out. How does she do it? There's no need for you to learn all the hard lessons all over again. She made the mistake. She's arrived. And now you can just reap the benefits from modeling the behavior. And you know this. That's why I'm saying it. The best time to plan was yesterday. However, the next best time is right now. A comprehensive plan should always include, well, I'm going to say it again, your learning plan. Do you have any knowledge gaps that you need to fill in order to make this big move? Are you perhaps wanting or needing to pursue new skills that complement your existing skills? Remember, what you've done before has gotten you here, but it's not going to get you there. And frankly, I'm only going to say it a little bit, just a little bit. The way technology is impacting our life, you have to at least have a working knowledge. So what is it you need to learn to really help you level up in your new role? You want to definitely consider the money. I don't care what you say. That money situation is important. You're not just covering your expenses. You've set your sights on more. So what does more look like in your new position? You need to pencil that out. Don't make it up. You need to do some research. There are platforms that I was going to say aggregate that information, but that's probably not the right word, but they do collect the information, and then we can go and check out the salary. Used to be salary.com or Glassdoor. And I don't know if you talk to one of the AIs, they can probably find you some salary data more so than you could on your own. But anyway, there are different reasons for wanting to leave. So, but make sure that when you are leaving, your money grows. There's a pay bump. And then, of course, your values matter. Maybe that was the reason you left. Maybe there's a conflict, right, with the company values. But you sure need to make sure that the new company's mission and culture must match your core values, or there will be headwinds. So make this category part of your plans. What's your deal breakers? What's most important to you? There are so many different considerations, right? We're grown, we have lives, we have thoughts, we have hopes, and we have dreams. And I imagine we talked about it many times ago. Not gonna reference another episode, but what is your personal mission statement? So your personal mission statement, be aware of who you are deep down. That's important because I mean, yes, you can pivot. Is that what you want to do all the time? No, you want to get somewhere and you want to build something. So make sure you look at all the important pieces um, for your new move so that when you do land, you land well, you land on your feet, and you're happy to be there so you can grow and become more.
Yeah, this is so interesting because I guess it's the word pivot that throws me back. And I'm thinking the first time I did this, but it was really probably the second or third time. So I sort of manifested this early on in my career. But I'll just use one spot to say I am an example of you can pivot, bounce back, and make your dreams come true. And I know this came about a little bit yesterday. A group of ladies were called together to hear about the upcoming um, teaching of some ladies sharing their experiences about life, how that work-life balance. And so that obviously the reason, as Larisa mentioned, I think it was her somewhere early on, we talk about our experiences. So I am actually closing, but I want you to think about what I'm saying because we do pivot. And so the thing is, you don't just drop and run, right? A carefully crafted pivot can be the catalyst you need to help you achieve new heights of personal and professional success. You made the call, the right one for you. So no second guessing yourself. And I paused when I said that because, oh, second guessing is just, I don't have a word for it. You probably can come up with something, Larisa. It's just a killer that happens with women sometimes. This whole second guessing. Stop it. I wish it, didn't exist, but if you know that to be your nature, stop. Don't. Because you've made the call. That's why I want to say that again. It's the right one for you. And so you're going to make a plan and you're going to work your plan. And you got this.
Having another thought and I don't know where it went. And so why don't I just give you your Divalicious pro tip? And so being a multipreneur, if you will, gives you options. When you make it, mind it, and multiply, you'll have a backup plan at the ready. So don't wait until something momentous happens. You
Right.
know,
Mhm.
just multipreneurship, it kind of wraps around your life. And it just kind of, in my view, offers that support. And so at some point, you'll accumulate what I like to call attitude money. So if something big does happen, you're
Mhm.
like, okay, that's all right. I'm good. So think about it. There are many reasons for being a multipreneur, and the need to pivot is right up there. And what I was going to say, I think I was going to say because in terms of values, right? And then, of course, what you said or started to say about sharing your experiences. People used to use, and still do, use the term life balance. And then I don't know who I was listening to and said, there is no balance. There's always going
Right.
to be some inequality or something that's, that requires a little more give. And he or she, don't remember who it was, but it did stick in my head, was rephrase that to be life integration, work life integration, because I think that's more accurate for what really happens. It's like, we spend so many hours at work because, we do. But we don't want to just be the person who is, insert title here, fill in the blank. There's more to us. We're more well-rounded. We're more diverse than just a title. So I like the work-life integration because I think I can kind of picture
I like that
how
too. I'm going to use that.
how we make things work and come together. And what? Why, yes, keep our sanity while we're doing it. So anyhow, listen, gentle persons, with that, thank you so much to all our subscribers. You are most appreciated. First time listener, mm, drop a comment below and let us know how you found us. And of course, if you are new, don't forget to subscribe. Now, next week, it's the other side of the coin. This one, like you got a setback and you decide, okay, well, time to go. Now, the next one is like, well, you've had a setback, but you decide to stick around. Uh-oh, what would that look like? So find out how to make that situation work for you. And we will see you there, divas. Cheers.